Trust is the foundation of any great leader, but here's the shocking truth. 70% of employees say they don't fully trust their leaders. That's a huge gap. And guess what? It's all because of poor communication. Leaders who can't connect with their teams through their words and actions are missing out on one of the most powerful tools in their leadership toolkit. But don't worry, this video will change that. I'm going to share 6 communication habits that will help you earn trust instantly. These are the small, but mighty changes you can start using today to make people believe in you. From mastering the art of active listening to understanding how your body language speaks for you, you'll walk away with strategies that work. Imagine this. You speak, and people listen. Not only that, but they trust you enough to follow your lead. Stick with me, and I'll show you exactly how to make that happen. Ready to boost your trust factor? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The Trust Magnet. Mastering the art of active listening. Trust starts with listening. But not just any listening, active listening. It's the difference between hearing and truly understanding. Research shows that leaders who practice active listening are 40% more likely to build stronger relationships with their teams. Listening isn't passive. It involves focus, empathy, and asking the right questions. When you give someone your full attention, they feel valued. Think of it like this. You're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're trying to understand the other person's emotions and thoughts. A simple trick? Reflect what the person says back to them. For example, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed with this project. This shows you're paying attention and encourages them to open up. One of the most effective ways to show you're listening is by nodding and using phrases like, "I see," or "Tell me more." These small cues let the other person know you're engaged. Did you know that 93% of communication is nonverbal? That means your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice matter more than the words you say. Active listening builds trust because it shows respect. When people feel heard, they're more likely to trust you. This is especially true in leadership. As Daniel Goleman writes in Emotional Intelligence, the most important leadership skill is the ability to listen. So next time you're in a conversation, give it your undivided attention. Show empathy. Mirror their words, and you'll see trust start to form naturally. Remember, trust is earned in these small moments of connection. If you want your team to open up to you, make sure you're listening with the intent to understand, not to respond. Chapter 2. Clarity over chaos. How to communicate with precision. Clear communication is a game changer in leadership. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you can't express them simply, you risk losing your audience. In fact, studies show that 57% of employees say poor communication is the main reason for workplace failure. A leader who communicates with clarity can prevent confusion and set expectations straight. Start by simplifying your message. This doesn't mean dumbing things down, but rather making your point easy to follow. Think of it as a roadmap for your listener, don't give them a maze. Leaders who use short, direct sentences with concrete examples often get the best results. For example, instead of saying, "We need to enhance our team's overall performance," say, "We need to hit our sales targets this quarter by focusing on customer relationships." Being clear also involves focusing on the what and the why. Leaders who explain why something matters give their team a sense of purpose. And this matters because when people understand the reasons behind decisions, they're more likely to commit to the action. According to Simon Sinek in his book Start With Why, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Make sure your why is clear. Another trick to ensure clarity is avoiding jargon and buzzwords. These often confuse rather than clarify. A 2016 survey by the company Clear Communication found that 62% of employees admit they struggle with unclear communication, especially when technical terms are thrown in. By speaking plainly, you avoid alienating your audience and help them absorb your message. Lastly, clarity also means being consistent. Repeating key points ensures that your message sticks. If you repeat your values, goals, or mission, you reinforce your trustworthiness. When you communicate with clarity, you give people something they can rely on. Chapter 3. Emotional transparency. Leading with vulnerability. As a leader, vulnerability can feel like a weakness, but it's actually a strength. Vulnerability is about being authentic and honest, even when it's uncomfortable. And it's a powerful tool for earning trust. A 2020 study by Brené Brown found that leaders who show vulnerability are 70% more likely to build trust with their teams. It's counterintuitive, but when you admit you don't have all the answers, you actually earn respect. The key is knowing when and how to share. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or letting your emotions run wild. It's about sharing just enough to humanize yourself without compromising your authority. A great example is when you acknowledge challenges and uncertainties, like saying, "I'm still figuring this out, but I trust you to help me." This invites collaboration and builds a connection. Don't be afraid to talk about your own mistakes. Leaders who can admit they've made errors, and that they've learned from them, help create a culture of openness. According to a study published in Harvard Business Review, leaders who admit their mistakes are 4 times more likely to inspire trust in their teams. It shows that you're human, just like everyone else. When leaders are transparent about their own emotions, it creates space for others to express theirs. It's a form of psychological safety. In Dare to Lead, Brené Brown emphasizes that vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. This courage is what builds lasting trust. Being transparent also builds emotional bonds. When you express how you feel about a situation, others are more likely to open up and share their own thoughts. This mutual exchange strengthens relationships and creates an environment of trust and understanding. So, next time you're facing a tough decision or situation, let your team see the real you. It'll make them trust you more. If you're enjoying these tips and want more strategies to become a trusted leader, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Chapter 4. Consistency is key. The power of repetition. When it comes to trust, consistency is everything. Leaders who show up the same way every day, no matter what, inspire confidence. According to a study by the Center for Creative Leadership, consistency in leadership behaviors is a top factor in building trust within teams. People trust what they can rely on. If your actions and words match up, your team will feel secure. Consistency in communication doesn't mean repeating the same message word for word, but reinforcing the same values and goals over time. By continuously highlighting your priorities, whether it's customer service or innovation, you ensure everyone is on the same page. It's like planting seeds. If you water them often, they'll grow. This doesn't just apply to business goals but to your core values, too. Repetition also helps make your message stick. The 7 times rule is a proven principle. It often takes hearing something 7 times before it sinks in. In leadership, this means repeating your key points during meetings, emails, and casual conversations. By doing so, you ingrain your message in the team's minds. It's also important to stay consistent in your actions. If you say one thing and do another, trust evaporates quickly. A study from Harvard Business School shows that 50% of employees who feel their leaders don't follow through on promises are likely to leave the company. Consistency builds trust by proving you're reliable and true to your word. Moreover, consistency fosters a sense of safety. People trust leaders who behave predictably. This predictability encourages employees to take risks and contribute more. As author John C. Maxwell notes in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Consistency shows you care enough to lead with integrity every day. Chapter 5. Nonverbal trust signals. When silence speaks louder. Sometimes, what you don't say speaks louder than what you do. Nonverbal communication, body language, tone, and facial expressions can build or destroy trust in seconds. Research by Albert Mehrabian shows that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal, which means the way you carry yourself can impact trust more than your words. Let's start with body language. Leaning forward during a conversation shows engagement. Crossing your arms might suggest defensiveness, while maintaining an open posture communicates approachability. A study by the University of California found that leaders who maintain positive body language are 40% more likely to inspire trust in their teams. Then, there's eye contact. Too little, and you come off as evasive. Too much, and it might feel intimidating. The right balance is crucial. A 2021 study by the University of Sydney found that leaders who maintained moderate eye contact were perceived as 60% more trustworthy than those who avoided it. Eye contact shows confidence and sincerity, both of which are essential for trust. Your tone of voice is just as important. A warm, steady voice conveys calmness and reassurance. Leaders who speak too harshly or quickly can unintentionally convey distrust or impatience. According to The Trusted Advisor by David H. Maister, people trust leaders who show consistency in their words and tone. Trust is reinforced when leaders use a tone that is steady and kind. Lastly, the power of silence can't be ignored. Pausing before answering gives you time to process and respond thoughtfully. It also gives the other person space to feel heard. A survey by McKinsey & Company found that leaders who pause before responding in meetings are 30% more likely to be seen as thoughtful and trustworthy. In leadership, mastering nonverbal signals is essential. Trust is built not just through what you say, but how you present yourself. Pay attention to your body language, tone, and silence to communicate reliability and openness. Chapter 6. The Heart of the Message. Communicating with purpose. Purpose-driven communication is the final piece of the trust puzzle. Leaders who communicate with clear intention inspire greater loyalty and action. Studies show that employees are 4 times more likely to stay with a company when they believe their work aligns with the company's purpose. If you want to earn trust, make sure your message has meaning. Start by defining the purpose behind your communication. What do you want your team to feel or do after the conversation? Whether you're giving feedback or setting new goals, clarity of purpose ensures your message is not lost in the noise. In Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek highlights how leaders who inspire a shared sense of purpose can build stronger, more cohesive teams. People will trust you more if they understand why your message matters to them. A purposeful leader doesn't just focus on tasks, but on the bigger picture. When your communication revolves around the why, it helps others see the value in their work. One study found that employees who understand their company's purpose are 50% more engaged than those who don't. By clearly articulating purpose, you help your team understand their role in achieving it. In every conversation, ask yourself, does this serve the greater mission? Purpose-driven communication is not just about what you say, but why you say it. Be authentic. Be direct. And be clear on how your message connects to the team's broader goals. Trust grows when people know that your communication is aligned with their values. Additionally, a leader who communicates with purpose doesn't waste time. They focus on the essentials, cutting through the noise to deliver a clear message. This builds efficiency and trust. Leaders who are clear about their priorities make it easier for others to follow suit. According to The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni, the clarity of a leader's vision and communication is critical to the success of any organization. Lastly, keep your purpose consistent. Reinforce the why regularly, and people will understand your intentions and trust you more. When your words are always aligned with the bigger purpose, your leadership becomes more than just a position, it becomes a calling. By communicating with purpose, you'll not only gain trust but also inspire action. Your team will know exactly what to expect and why it matters, which is the foundation of trust. Make sure your message isn't just heard, it should resonate with purpose. If you found these strategies helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe for more leadership tips and ways to improve your communication skills.